And we're back. So someone asked me that they can't wait to see who I pick to date in this murder dating simulator. And I gotta tell you, anyone except the trapper. I'm cool with anyone except the trapper. You wake up to find Spirit holding your limp body, gingerly pouring cool water into your mouth. Don't you just love the ocean at night? I do. Staring out over the vast darkness of the ocean really validates the feelings inside me that we're all truly insignificant, and the only thing worth pursuing is revenge. I have to wonder, how could anyone believe anything else? You look out to the darkness of night and ponder her question. Well, it's a simple question. How could they? How could anyone not feel small and alone in the face of such massive nothingness? You've always been alone. Maybe it's Spirit's words. Maybe it's the ocean. Maybe it has always been this way, but you suddenly feel connected to Spirit's words. I may not remember much about my life before, but there's one thing I know to be true. I've always been alone. And I always will be alone. Spirit has turned from looking at the ocean and is looking directly at you now. It's a funny idea, isn't it? Being alone. Together? It's the best we can hope for. Maybe. Or maybe it's too much to hope for. Maybe it's impossible to pretend we know anything. Is that just arrogance? Ugh, I was so dumb. Somebody's trying to please everyone to be the perfect student, the perfect employee, the perfect daughter. I didn't take care of myself, and now I'm all I've got. And worst of all, I got distracted from my true purpose, my destiny. The purpose that was sitting inside me my whole life. Okay, so this might sound a bit silly, but... Spirit looks around to see if there's anyone else on the beach. When she's convinced that it's only you two, she continues. There's a dragon that lives inside me. I've always known, but I've tried to ignore it. When I couldn't ignore it, I tried to push it down. I'm so stupid. You're not stupid. That sounds badass. Right? But I didn't let it out, and then chop chop. And now that dragon is pretty much a one-track revenge beast. But enough about me. What's inside of you, stranger? No dragon, just a lot of fire. A raging inferno, in fact, and begging to burn this whole place down if I let it out. Maybe I am the dragon. I'm sorry, but you're no dragon. Breathing fire? That's some hobbit-type nonsense. I'm a descendant of proud samurai. Our dragons are on a whole other level. Looks like there was only room for one dragon inside Spirit, after all. Just as things are really heating up, you hear a flurry of footsteps behind you, and you quickly spin around, ready to fend off whatever new danger has popped up on this strange island, only to find that it's Dwight and Claudette sprinting across the beach, clipboards in hand, which they're waving in the air above their heads. It's very important that we stick to the itinerary and attend each event as scheduled. Playing sick for cute flirt points was not part of this evening's activities. That's strictly slotted in for after campfire story time. At this rate, we'll be late. Playing sick? No, no time for excuses. Well, there is, but that's scheduled for after what comes after the flirting. Go, 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 go! Once everyone is gathered at the fire pit, Dwight and Claudette quickly make an announcement. We're not going to blame anyone in particular, but someone, and we're not going to say who, so don't worry. You hasn't been sticking to the schedule. That means that we're behind on time for evening activities. And we only have time for one person to share their special spooky nighttime story. Just one story? But story time is my favorite activity. This is a narrative-heavy experience. You're telling us that only one person gets to share? How will we decide who? I'm doing terrible with the accents because it's been like a couple days since I last played. My apologies, because I'm not gonna keep any of the voices consistent. Just expect different people entirely to be talking. Oh great, we have to decide as a group? That never goes well. Whoever did this, step up now! I swear I won't be angry, I'll merely chop your head clean off. No fuss, no muss. Voice trembling, you realize this is probably it for you, but you embrace your fate. Sorry, everyone. I think they're talking about me. To be honest, I still don't understand how this whole schedule thing works. I guess I lost track of time while I was passed out. Been there before. Even though it's taking some pressure off of me, which is an absolute dream come true, is it really fair to pick on the newbie? Seriously, has anything here ever happened on schedule? Even once? Damn it, Donald, if you try to flex that authority gimmick on me one more time, so help me, I'll snap your head off so quick and then I'll drown you in his blood, Cynthia. Fuss and muss are back on. You two know I love to hack, slash, and slice. We all know you love to kill. It's almost all you talk about. Nobody named any names. Who even knows any names? Not us. I renounced my name. Who's Donald? Who's Dwight? Who even knows anymore? Call me nobody. But we still got nobody. We still gotta get started on story time, so... Taco, who do you think should go? Damn it, that's a name. Please, pick somebody quickly so that this tropical vacation doesn't turn into a bloodbath. Well, I think I'm traveling down Spirit's route, so let's go with Spirit. I choose you, Spirit! Pokeball, out! Oh, this entire experience is being carefully crafted to avoid an IP infringement lawsuit. Let's be careful with the catchphrases, will you? Oh, God. Really? You want to hear from me? Spirit huffs and dramatically rolls her eyes as she gets to her feet in front of the campfire, which she's floating on because she's just dismembered body parts. Don't let her talk you out of it. She's great with ghost stories. I don't know where she gets it, but she comes up with the scariest stuff. Seriously disturbing, even to me. And I literally pulled a guy's skull and spine out once with my bare hands. Is that where his weapon... what his weapon is? Possibly. Anyway. Talk about BS stories. If everyone else is going to chit-chat, I guess I can just sit down. Huntress's eyes go red behind her mask, and both Trapper and Wraith take their seat. They know it's worth when it's worth fighting. And when it's not. Ahem. Well, I hate to break it to you, but tonight's story isn't scary. It's a romance. Too late now, though. I was selected, so I'm going to tell my story. I call it The Prisoner's Kiss. You notice that the Huntress and Wraith are both sharing a giant tub of popcorn. Nobody offered you any popcorn. Why didn't I get any popcorn? It was a dark summer night. Warm rain seeped from the sky like blood from an old wound. Detective Hotta, a celebrated investigator and renowned hostage negotiator, was called to the scene of a strange occurrence, unlike anything she had ever seen before. When she arrived, the scene was chaotic. Crowds had begun to gather. A dozen other officers were doing everything they could to keep curious onlookers away. But how could anyone resist wanting to know more? For there, in the middle of a busy market, had appeared a giant box. Strange, alien in its appearance, and massive in size. No one knew how it got there. Was it delivered? Built on site? In such a busy area, how could something like this just appear? A mystery, as if it was conjured by magic. But this was no illusion. The huge box was very real, and someone was trapped inside. Spirit pauses her story to look from face to face of each audience member. She has no expression, but you feel her vibrating with energy. She's in her element. Help me! Cried someone inside the box. It was a man, terrified, trapped, imprisoned, his voice trembling. By now, it was as if every detective in the city was there, looking this strange structure up and down, inspecting it on every side. It didn't make sense. There were no doors, no windows, no fasteners or seams. It was completely solid, and much too heavy to move by hand. Solid, that is, except for a single small slit, just enough to see the bloodshot eyes of the prisoner, trapped inside. I don't know what happened. I woke up and here I was. I'm so scared. Please help me, cried the man, as if pleading for his life. No stranger to tense situations, Detective Hotta comforted the man. She used her training to calm him and buy time for other investigators. However, time did not bring clarity, only anxiety, as the night dragged on with no progress opening the box. As the night grew longer, the seeping rain puddling on the ground, the man inside grew more desperate, more sad and lonely, more pathetic and in need of help, Look, she's crying. But Detective Hata was no help at all. Powerless to save him, guilt began to weigh on her, like it never had before. Don't let me die in here, the man begged. Don't let me die alone. Stay calm, instructed Detective Hata. You're not alone. I'm here. Hell, half the town is here. We're all in this together. We won't let this be the end of your story. Looking through that narrowest of passageways, Detective Hata watched her own reflection in the tear-eyed filled of the strange, sad prisoner. Together, they had both wept in silence at the hopelessness of the moment. Promise? Asked the man. Promise that I'm not alone? Yes, she promised. I do. A simple pledge, and she felt an instant connection like she had never felt before. Not to her family, not to her friends, not to any of the other hostages she had worked so hard to free before. And so, when the man's eyes closed and backed away, it didn't scare Detective Hata, for she knew he would return, and when he did, pressing his lips up to the narrow slit in this horrible puzzle box, repeating his question again, steam flowing from his mouth, he asked, Promise? Promise that I'm not alone? Yes, she promised, I do, and pressing her palms against the cold outside of the box without truly knowing why, the Detective Hata leaned forward and placed her own lips up to the opening, letting her breath creep into the strange structure, allowing her warm lips to fall on this man's. It was a gentle kiss, a moment of compassion. She could feel in the brief contact the beating of her heart, pulsing blood through every inch of her body, matched beat for beat in this soft touch. Thank you, said the man, no trace of fear remaining in his voice, and he backed away into the darkness, disappearing in a single moment of eerie calmness. Get back! Yelled an officer, suddenly thrusting himself between Detective Hata and the box, breaking a silence that would soon be filled by a cacophony of whirring gears and clicking latches, a symphony of mechanical activity happening all at once. Something had triggered, as if an unseen lever pulled, and the side of the giant box began to slide open. Detective Hata gripped her flashlight tightly and pushed forward into the foggy interior of the giant box. Her feet splashed in puddled rainwater, her heart racing as she swept her light from side to side. And that's when her eyes landed on the man, or at least landed on what should have been him. There, in the corner of the box was a pile of pieces, like parts of a doll, almost pulled apart, or perhaps that's just how Detective Hata had to think of him in that moment to survive. A collection of segments, limbs, pieces disconnected from one another, cleanly severed and placed in a neat pile. And atop that pile, a head, cold pale, eyes open, lips an icy blue. Spirit stares at the fire, her own expression lifeless, her lips blue, tears fall from her chin and soak into the sand at her feet. You're blown away by the story, and it's safe to say you're not alone. Everyone else is looking into the fire up at the sky, anywhere but at Spirit. It was you who chose her, you who initiated this harrowing tale, so sad, so creepy, so sensual? She really went into great detail when it came to describing that kiss. Too much detail. Now no one is sure how to act. Dwight and Claudette are staring daggers at you. You have to do something. This game was supposed to be a light-hearted romp. Please, I said do something. You stand in without saying anything except, this is probably where I end up dying, being stabbed, because I'm hugging her without really her consent, so maybe she won't like it. You stand without saying anything, approach Spirit, reaching her arms around her for a hug. Her robe, hovering in the air, begins to wrap itself around you and squeeze you into her. It's kind of like being hugged back, but also like being tied up. It's certainly not what you expected. Instinctively you pull away, but it's an awkward movement and you nearly fall over into the fire. Spirit says nothing and floats away without so much as a goodbye. You, meanwhile, realize everyone had just watched this truly strange interaction from the corners of their eyes. On that note, everyone decides it's time to take a break and split up for a little bit so they can all have a moment alone before bed. Everyone leaves, and you're alone by the fire. The only thing you hear is the ocean slowly lapping against the shore. This is nice. A true moment of peace and tranquility that lasts for all of 7 seconds because Trickster shows up and is blaring his latest song. Gosh darn it. Hey, baby, you look lonely. Mind if I join you? He does not wait for an answer. I know you've been hearing from these guppies all day, but I want you to hear something from a big fish like me. Something special something special those in charge of this island don't want you to hear. I am the ultimate catch on this island. The only lobster in an ocean of sardines. No one can give you what I can. You just have to find me. Come find me, baby. Trickster leaves. You're a bit confused about what to make of these cryptic clues, but you aren't going to get any time to yourself to think about them just yet. Spirit approaches you. You know, I was watching you while I told my story. I could tell it was having an effect on you. This fog that follows me around, I could feel you breathing heavily, taking me in. You and I are both absolutely flabbergasted at that piece of information. Legit, you learn something new every day when you're a god. I mean, narrator. You're doing it again, right now. My cat is angry. Spunky is angry at Ghosty, so she's growling at him. That's what that sound was. You're doing it again, right now. You need to calm down. You should come to the hot tub with me. Dipping in hot tubs with a spirit? You've come a long way in a single day. I'm not saying you shouldn't follow her, an offer like that. Just don't forget our little talk. Well, if she kills me, I'll probably deserve it. You and your storyteller friend slip into the water. It's just the right temperature for an evening dip. Plus, if some jealous shark comes along and manages to jump from the ocean into the pool, you're also pretty sure your killer companion could handle it. I just want to be totally clear. Even though that story bore some similarities to my life, it was not about me in any way, shape, or form. Not symbolically, not metaphorically, no, any other ikali. Except it was probably really similar. I believe you, completely, sure. You were cut to pieces in your life, and so was the person in the story. A perfectly normal coincidence. Sure, you're on this island, trapped, one might say, in a most puzzling place. Also, a completely regular coincidence. And sure, his lips were blue, your lips are blue. Really? You'd call this blue? Searching for answers, hoping to find revenge. Okay, so the similarities stop there, I guess. Coincidences. Sorry, the coincidences. Get this through your head, whoever you are. Samurai blood runs through my veins, or well, maybe it's coagulated by now. No need to sweat the details. Regardless, I am a descendant of noble warriors. Thousands of years of training with bladed weapons preceded my entrance into this world. Do you know how many swords that is? A lot. You gotta figure that with that many sharp edges, a person is bound to get disconnected from a body part here and there. The truth is, and I wouldn't typically share this, so don't go blabbing it about. I dreamt that story, like watching a movie in my sleep when I was just a little girl, years before my father sunk his blade into my skin. Yeah, that's right, her father killed her. That's why I was confused earlier. I've never been able to shake it. That's a very adult story for a child to dream. Do you believe me? Yeah. I know we just met, but yes, I do believe you. The way you told that story clearly came from someplace deep. Fool! Who taught you to trust a stranger? You're going to get hurt if you don't learn to take better care of yourself. Now you got me wondering, do I believe you? If you believe her or not? And if I know everything, because trust me, I do know everything, don't I already know the answer to my own question about if I believe your answer to the spirit's question? Whoa. Ocean air got me tripping. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract us both. What's important is that certain corpsey cutie floating in a cloud of magical mist might still be waiting for you to say the right thing and free her from her puzzle blocks. If you believe that she is... Damn it, got me going again. Unfortunately, before you can follow this conundrum to what will surely be a mind-numbing cycle of new questions, you find a certain someone standing before you with a fresh towel, ready to dry you off. Sorry, kids, but it's time for bed. I might be the youngest one here, but I'm no kid. I do, however, love being wrapped up in a fresh, clean towel. My mother used to help me wash my hair when I was young. She'd comb out all the tangles and tie a ribbon around it before sending me on my way. I miss her. So I think this flower up here, I recognize it from another anime, Madoka Magica, in which it was a flower on a particular magic girl's head at a certain point, and it's called I think Homo Lily, something like that, and it is poisonous, I believe. That's Japanese flower poisonous, I think. Anyway, Yuwatsu's spirit stares off into the distance, her hand gripping into a tight fist. She doesn't notice you're watching her, at first. When she catches you looking, she turns away, roughly grabs a towel from Dwight, and then pushes him and Claudette aside as she floats off.